What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Dr. Killjoy coming back at you again. We're back on our Call of Duty Power Rankings post the first Major 1, whatever you want to call it. First off, we're going to be doing a little recap of what went down. Definitely spoilers, kind of already on the screen, so apologies if you haven't watched it yet. You should still go watch some of these series. I'll let you know which ones. Going quick through the bracket, then we'll get to the Power Rankings. We're going to go through winners, and then we'll go to the elimination. So starting off in winners, Optic with a 3-0 over Subliners. Keep that one in mind. We'll get back to that one later. You got LA Gorillas with potentially the upset of the weekend in my eyes with a 3-0 over the Thieves. Not in a million years would I have guessed that one, but shout out to the Gorillas. Moving on, winners round 2. Empire gonna win 3-2 over Chicago. Go watch that series right now. Don't stop what you're doing. You're watching my video. After this video, go watch that series. That one is a banger. You got FaZe 3-0 over Gorillas, which kind of you don't want to say expected because of what they did to Thieves, but then in the winners final, you got FaZe with a 3-0 over Empire. Pretty anticlimactic there, but FaZe are just looking dominant. That's a 6-0 in the winners bracket for FaZe. Keep that in mind. Moving on to the elimination bracket. Starting off, you got Mutineers with a 3-1 over Surge. Absolutely busted my predictions. I had Surge making it to like round 4, I think. Round 3, somewhere around there. You got Ultra with a 3-2 over Ravens. A lot closer than I would have guessed given the circumstances around the Ravens. So shout out to them. They put up a good fight. Mutineers with a 3-1 over Legion. I was kind of high on Legion going into this, so that's tough. But Mutineers showed that they do got some talent in them, so shout out to them. Rocker, unfortunately, again, I think I had Rocker going to the elimination final. They fall in their very first match 3-2 to the Ultra. So Ultra, call them young Game 5 if they bring it to there. They're winning the whole thing. You got Subliners 3-2 over Mutineers. Good series there. Thieves 3-0 over Ultra. Their only win of the weekend. I'm very disappointed in the Thieves. I won't lie to you. You got New York Subliners continuing their run, 3-1 over the LA Gorillas. Optic Chicago with a 3-1 over Thieves. That was a pretty good series as well. And then, as I said, keep an eye on the winners round 1. 3-0 Optic Chicago over New York. Go to elimination round 5. New York 3-0 over Chicago, and it wasn't super close. It really was. It was a pretty dominant 3-0. So that just shows how competitive this league is, and anyone can win any game. And that the Subliners in Chicago, that game was immediately after Chicago 3-1 beat Thieves. They had all the momentum in the world. They just couldn't get the job done. So hate to see it for them. Love to see it for the Subliners. Elimination final. Empire going to come back after losing 3-0. They're going to win 3-0 themselves. And then to end it all, 5-2 win for Atlanta FaZe. Only 2 maps that they dropped the whole weekend. They only played 3 series. Looking very good, especially in S&D. Looking very strong. I hate the way that the final was done. Best of 9 with winners getting no advantage outside of vetoes. That is stupid to me. I think it should be double best of 5. But what I heard is that doesn't make sense to an average viewer, which I guess I can understand. But it should be a best of 9. FaZe starts up 1-0. Because I think that's what they did last year for some event or something. That makes sense. If you don't understand that, then I don't get it. But that's my little rant on that. Congratulations to FaZe winning 5-2. They went, 11-2 on the weekend map count. Looking very good right now. Simp, probably my MVP. I don't know if they named the actual MVP, to be honest. But Simp is probably my MVP. I think he had the top KD of the entire weekend as a sub, so pretty impressive. Moving on to our power rankings. Another quick side note. The GAs that released today, the XM4 and then the attachments for the 74U, I hate the GAs. I don't understand why they're there, but it's whatever. I mean, I'm not the one playing on them, so I guess I probably don't know it as well as they do. So we're going to move on to our power rankings here. Let me pull the bracket up on my other screen so I can keep an eye on it. Starting off with FaZe, number 1 team on my power rankings. Very self-explanatory. 11-2, they won the tournament. Seattle Surge, you let me down. Very disappointed in them. And for that, I'm going to I should have titled it differently. F is going to be my bottom tier, obviously. But I also think if I'm putting a team in F, I think they need to make a team change. And that's where Surge is going. I think they're ready for a team change. They need an all-star that uses a submachine gun. Octane's very good with an AR. They need an all-star at the submachine gun level. Dallas Empire are going to be my number 2 team. I'm going to leave that in that order, just to be clear. Empire, my number 2 team. They did beat Optic 3-2. That was such a good series. Definitely watch that one. That's probably my series of the weekend for sure. Game 5, round 11. But yeah, Empire, they got second place. They did end up taking the only 2 maps off of FaZe this weekend, so you can give them that. LA Gorillas, they did upset the Thieves, got smoked by Atlanta, and then when they dropped to the losers, they lost to the Subliners. I'm going to put them in B for now. I might move them to the top of C, because I think that's kind of where they are, borderline. I'll leave them in B for now, though. I'm going to put some respect on the Gorillas' names. Excuse me. Mutineers did not do bad either this weekend. I still think I'm going to put them in C for now just because they looked so sloppy in the first few weeks of the season, and then they did turn up a little bit. Excuse me. They beat Surge 3-1, Paris 3-1, and then they lost to the Subliners, who I'm very high on now. So I'll leave them at the top of C, but they could 100% move up to B very quickly if they continue up at the pace that they were playing. London Royal Ravens. I don't know what they're doing. I saw today that Zero isn't on the Challengers team that he was playing anymore, but he's on another Challengers team rather than playing with the Ravens. So I'm kind of confused with this roster still. If they can get all their players to actually play, I don't think they need a roster change. And for that reason only, they also competed with Ultra 3-2 with what roster they had. I'm going to put them in D, because if they can get their roster, get Alex back, get Zero in the US, I think that roster could win some series. But so I don't necessarily think that they need a change. I just think that they need to get their players to be playing. Rocker. How do I feel about Rocker? They lost to Ultra 3-2 in their only series of the weekend. I don't want to. I'm so high on the Rocker, so I don't want to do this. I'm going to put them above Mutineers, but in the C tier. Yeah, I still have them above Mutineers. I think that could flip. Give me one series, and that could flip, honestly, just because I think those two teams are very close right now, both with very talented rosters that should be doing better than how they are, in my opinion. Ultra, I'm going to put in the B tier. I'm going to put them underneath the Gorillas, looking at the roster. They beat Ravens 3-2 and Rocker 3-2. Rocker, I wouldn't have necessarily guessed that one. Ravens, definitely, they should have won that. Probably a little cleaner than they did, but I'll put them bottom B. They got 3-0'd by the Thieves. I didn't watch as many series as I really wanted to this weekend. I was out of town, had other things to do, but I'll put them bottom B. I'll put them top of C because I actually am not that high on them. I feel like they can beat any single team in the league. Maybe not like FaZe or an Empire. Maybe an Empire. I don't think that they can. I think that they can beat any team in the league, but I don't think that they will do that consistently. So, Paris Legion, I'm going to have you right above the Royal Ravens. Whoops. That's not where I wanted you. Let's just do that. That's easier. There you go. Paris Legion disappointed me this weekend. They lost 1-3 to the Mutineers, so they're definitely below them. I don't think they need to make a change, though. I just think maybe wasn't their day. That was their only series of the weekend, so they didn't have any chance to build any momentum if you're going to lose your first series starting in the lower bracket. That's why that seeding matters so much. So moving on, you got the New York Subliners. They kind of popped off this weekend. The elimination final, it was a 3-0, but it was pretty close maps. That's a pretty good series as well. I would recommend watching that one. That's a pretty good series right there. You had a 1v1 in S&D against Crimsix and Clayster, which is kind of the two players who were up in the air on who's going to be leaving that Empire team after last year. So that was pretty cool. I'm going to have them in my third place for now. But I have them breaking on into the A tier, which means we are going to be subbing a team out of the A tier. I'm going to go out of order real quick because the LA Thieves are getting bumped. I'll put them above Gorillas, even though Gorillas won 3-0. I understand. Gorillas won 3-0. But that's not necessarily how power rankings work. Even if you beat a team, I don't necessarily put you above them. And it was a pretty convincing 3-0, but I still think Thieves is the better team, even though they had a Garbo weekend. Where'd they go? 4-6 map count. They beat the Ultra. Smoked by, well, not necessarily smoked by Optic, but 3-1. Smoked by Gorillas. So I have Thieves dropping down into the B tier out of A. I think that they can make it back up, but honestly, I think every time I do a power rankings, I'm only leaving 4 teams in A, and they don't make it. Optic does make it. I think I'm going to be unpopular for this one, but I'm going to put Optic above Subliners, even though Subliners won 3-0 when it kind of mattered more. I'm going to put Optic above Subliners just because I'm more confident in them as a roster. New York, great weekend. But we did have those GAs. It's going to be adjustments. They are younger. Diamond Con actually had a really good weekend. Really underrated weekend. So shout out to him. I didn't expect that out of him. That team's talented. They also have Hydra in the US now, I believe. So they shouldn't switch their roster, but that's a question that they are going to be asking themselves. They definitely shouldn't switch their roster with Hydra in unless something goes really poorly somehow, some way. But that's going to be my power rankings. FaZe on top, Surge on bottom. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you agree, disagree. If you think that Subliners should be number 3, you probably do. Or maybe not. I don't even know. But that's going to do it for today. Let's see you next time. Goodbye.